time for the noob show. It's time for the noob show. So get back home, take off your fucking clothes, 'cause it's time for the noob show. It's time for the noob show. With Mike and No. It's time for the noob show. With Mike and No. So get back home, take off your fucking clothes, 'cause it's time for the noob show.
When I finally I bought, these are all like solid state drives in here now. I made the switch. Cause that's all I fucking want in there. I don't want to deal with that other.
They're affordable now.
They're affordable and they just make shit run faster.
Dude, I regret not getting a full terabyte of SSD for my computer, but it would have been a lot more money. Cause like when you get an Alienware, you get to customize like.
Oh, all the specs.
Yeah, and the first I got. You could have gotten just a fucking 250 with a giant storage drive, because then you'll have your operating system on the SSD, which is ideal. But then everything else gets run off the other one.
What I actually did too is, you know those .c drives? It looks like a little stick. It's a solid state drive. Apparently, it's like one of the fastest drives you can get. They're like more expensive, but like and smaller. But apparently, it's supposed to boot your computer in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, mine, since my OS is on the fucking SSD, like, restarting the computer takes me less than a minute.
Yeah,
usually.
Fucking great, ain't it?
It's fucking fantastic, dude. Especially after having, like, old fucking rigs that just... I've always had, like, a low end, you know, before I got that Alienware. It's, like, low to mid-end, usually with me updating the fucking graphics card. Something like that.
So I never got big. Most of the thing I started with was I bought a laptop and started dabbling in the games there. And realizing, oh, this can't run the things I want to play.
My first experience with that was Neverwinter Nights.
Nerd.
It's on the D&D universe. I didn't know that at the time. It was just it was like Diablo. And I liked Diablo at the time. But I couldn't run the game, and I didn't know anything about computers. I didn't know that the reason I couldn't run the game is because of the graphics card. So I just kept fucking uninstalling it and reinstalling it. And trying, like, modifying all kinds of shit. And then it didn't run that one last time, and I yelled, "I'm going insane," and threw my fucking computer chair across the room. And it broke. Then I looked at forums saying, blah, 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 graphics card. I was like, oh. I was living in bumfuck. I had to drive to Asheville to find a Best Buy.
Yeah. Because I bought this, so this computer was an iBuy Power that I bought secondhand off of a guy I worked with.
Nice, like, I think mine's 3.2.
What's that, the cores?
Gigahertz.
Yeah. Yeah, I run it was an i7 670, which is starting to be on the more like lower end. I think that's my next thing I need to upgrade. And then I run fucking 32 gigs of RAM.
I almost got 32, and someone said, oh, wait, maybe I do have 32. You could get up to 64. But I did a little reading about it, and they're like, you're not even going to be able to use that much.
Yeah, and it's like, you won't be able to use it, but it's like, but I got it. When it does happen, I have it, you know what I mean? I like the future-proofing part of it. Where it's like, oh, I don't care what comes out, my shit's ready.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to run any game that's come out for the last few years on ultra settings with no fucking problem. Only issue sometimes is I do have to jack the fans up. And they can be very fucking loud.
See, I don't know how to do any of that shit.
Well, so with Alienware is that you have what's called the command center, which they have like the LED lights on the side and all that kind of. So you can customize what colors they are, how they fucking cycle. I don't really care about all that shit, but they give you fan control, and I wouldn't know so much about it if their shit just worked the way it was supposed to. But apparently their towers are notorious for having problems with the fucking fans. So I got another program called MSI Afterburner, which just controls your GPU fan speed.
Huh.
and then you set a curve. You're like, if it's running at this many RPMs and getting to this heat, then up the fan speed to 70, up the fan speed to 80. And
so on.
There's graphs for it, and you set points on the graph. And then the Alienware tower itself, it's liquid cooled, but it has 2 fans built into it, giant fans. There's a top fan and a back fan, and then you can set how fast you want those to run based on what temperature point. And there's multiple thermometers in it. So it's like, I focused them all just on the GPU, if it's running this high. But what I end up doing, though, is this is the Alienware problem with it, is that those curves don't always work right. And sometimes the GPU fan will just it'll go from nothing to super fucking high speed. Nothing to super fucking high. It's annoying as shit. So I just set the fan speeds to like 70% each and just hit go when I start running a game. And it's loud as fuck.
Yeah, but you have headphones in or shit going on, so it doesn't matter.
I don't mind, but whatever my living arrangements are might dictate that. Like when I was at my mom's, like, I had to make sure the fucking door was closed. And then even then, like, I know she could still hear the shit. And she wasn't going to say nothing to me about it. But I didn't want to fucking bother her. She's, like, trying to read and practice music and stuff. So I just turned the graphics down.
How does your mom play?
Guitar, banjo. Not so much banjo anymore. Was taking violin lessons. But the pandemic happened and her violin teacher's husband is, like, super religious, right? Anti-vax. So she didn't want to be around her anymore.
That guy.
Yeah, she tried doing them on Zoom, but with violin, posture is like way more important than with guitar. So
I tried learning fucking banjo. So we're in the corner right there. That shit's fucking annoying.
It's fucking hard.
Yeah, because you're like, looking into it, it's like, oh, it's very akin to metal playing, where it's like you got hammer-ons and slides, all like you're playing with your left and right hand at the same time.
Yep.
I would argue that the left hand does a lot more work than the rolling shit.
Yeah, she plays a couple of things. She can read sheet music. She used to play piano. I played piano for a while.
Don't you play guitar still?
Not now. I mean, shit, I don't even have one.
Do you want one?
I wouldn't play it right now.
Why don't you suck my dick?
No, like I gave Jordan my main amp. It's nothing fancy. I gave my mom my 15-watt bass amp. Gave my bass guitar away. Gave my piano to my old piano teacher to give to one of her, like,
that's fucking dope.
Underprivileged students. She's such a nice fucking lady. I knew she was gonna find a place for it.
Something.
And honestly, if she needed to sell the motherfucker to make ends meet, I don't care. She's nice as fuck, so.
I'm gonna get to the main shit. How the fuck you deal with a pet dying? Shit sucks.
It's hard, man. I mean, one big thing I learned from my psychologist is that, over the long course of human relationships, people will do you wrong in some way. Whether it's, I don't know, they forgot to pick you up for work in the morning, or, I don't know, they backed into your fucking front porch, or
that one time I sucked your dick without spitting on it.
Yeah, they still hold that against you.
Yeah.
That occurs with human relationships, just over time. One, pets don't live that long. And two, pets don't think maliciously. Pet's never gonna steal your boyfriend. Pet's never gonna deliberately fuck your shit up. Say like a crazy ex or something like that. Like, you're not gonna have to deal with that. So, like, the love you have with your pet is sort of more pure. Because when somebody dies, like, say like when my dad dies, for example, there's a whole lot of bad shit he did, which is gonna help soften the blow. But when my dog Charlie died, he'd never done a fucking thing to me.
Yeah, well, at least intent. Like, when your cat, one of my cat taught me, when he pisses on the couch, oh, that was my fault because his box was too full, or I bought the wrong type of litter. Shit like that. Like, I'm not pissing here.
Yeah, I've met a couple of those little smart dogs that need a lot of brain stimulation. I've seen do malicious shit like that. Like, I had an ex's dog who, if she hadn't paid it enough attention that day, it would just take a piss right in front of us.
I've always found that funny with animals when they look at you and piss, just like right there.
Yeah, I had an ex-girlfriend. Now, cats, I'd say cats are a little different. You know, Charles Darwin argued that cats are never not the one animal we keep as pets that aren't truly domesticated.
They're really fucking not.
Because of was it nocturnal ramblings and sexual prowess. Unrestrained sexual prowess. Controlling the breeding stock is a hallmark of domestication. And you can't do that if you have a cat that goes out at night.
Yeah, they fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, they fuck.
You can probably say the same about dogs, though.
If you let them go out at night like that.
Yeah.
Well, a dog, and they're more content inside of a fence and such than some cats are. But, yeah, when my dog Charlie died, he'd never done a fucking thing. You know, I had nothing to hold against him, you know? And, so it was
shittier.
It's still difficult, you know? Like, when my dad dies, like, sure, I'll be upset, but it's like, there's a lot of shit I'm not gonna have to deal with, too. You know, whereas the only stuff with Charlie is, like, you know, it's, you know, and I felt guilty about this, and this is common when something dies, but I was like, you know, at least now I don't have to worry about him being dead when I get home.
Yeah, is that like a normal shit? That kind of like normal thoughts, like, well, at least this happened, I can do this without worrying about it.
Yeah, and then it's also normal to feel guilty about it right after.
Okay, cool.
Right after thinking
making sure that was supposed to be there.
Yeah, like so my dad had a stroke a while back, and one of my first thoughts was something about inheritance, and I immediately felt guilty about it. And I talked to some people about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like when my brother died, like I thought that too. You know, like which of his things am I gonna get? You know." Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, that's like, you know, if you're looking at it objectively, that is one of the things you need to think about when somebody dies. You know, but with my dog, it was like, okay, so now I'm not going to get to come home to him being happy to see me, you know?
Oh, cool. Now I get sadness.
Yeah. It fucking sucks, man. It takes longer. My psychologist said some of the worst things he's seen with his patients have just involved pet grief.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, you're right. It's like, you know, that, you know, never did me wrong. There's nothing to kind of like you said, soften the blow to that shit. And the only thing, you know, like when your grandma dies, you don't go out like, I don't think I want another grandmother. Yeah. When you get a pet, you think, I was like, do I want another pet? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get another cat. Probably two.
Yeah, give him one to play with.
Yeah. It's going to be female cats because I learned they have this urinary tract problem a whole lot less. Apparently that's a big deal with, like, male cats is one of the things that's more common than female cats.
Is that from inbreeding?
I have no idea, but sorry.
I don't know very... No, that's like some genetic problems with dogs are due to inbreeding.
I like how...
the whole thing about, like, you never know when a pit bull's going to turn on you kind of thing. That is from a genetic flaw due to inbreeding. Yeah. That's just something that got passed down. I remember when I was growing up, I had this family that raised German Shepherds, and, like, they were letting the kids fuck the mom.
Yeah, you don't do that. That causes issues.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we were far enough in the South for that to be okay.
Well, you're English, so you should be alright with it.
Fucking dogs with blue blood.
Dude, fucking, I've said this before, we have fucked dogs up to the point of, like, no return.
Yeah, most, like, pure breeds have very specific disorders that can follow with it. Like hip dysplasia and bulldogs.
Mm-hmm. Or like how Frenchies can't fuck naturally, you gotta, like, jerk them off.
Maybe that's just you.
Oh, yeah.
That one doesn't work on me, Mike. You need to leave that dog's dick alone.
It was one time. It's fucking gross. Red Rocket.
But so French bulldogs can't just fucking...
I think so. Like, my family friend had one. Apparently it's a big deal to get them to breed.
Like pandas?
Yeah. Pandas, why are we still trying to save something? They are definitely trying to die out. They suck. They eat bamboo. They got little tiny eyes. And they're like not herbivores, what's the both of them? Omnivore, but they usually choose to eat bamboo instead of protein-rich meat. Fucking idiots.
Well, they were fine before we got there.
That's not my problem.
People gotta live.
Now bring me my panda skin coat.
It's the same with fucking koalas, isn't it?
They got syphilis.
Like, koalas are having serious I don't remember where the hell I heard that or not, but they eat eucalyptus.
Yeah.
And their environment is easily disrupted. So.
Oh, here's another fun fact about koalas. What the babies eat for their first, couple, a little bit being alive, I don't know if it's days, weeks, or months, they eat their mother's shits. Because their bodies can't break down all the things of eucalyptus, and it makes it easier on their digestive system.
Well, so it's broken down already.
Yeah.
Huh.
Animal Kingdom's gross.
Yeah. Wake up. Hey, congratulations on being born. Here's a shit sandwich.
Right from your mama.
Yeah.
Just like mama used to make. Start picturing just fucking white bread with fucking shit in between it.
I was thinking it set up like a club sandwich, where it's like multiple tiers with like bacon and like each one gets the bacon, lettuce, tomato on it. But it's just like a big fucking turd steak.
Oh, but yeah, I'm thinking about getting, more cats eventually. Not like right now, I don't know when. But at some point.
Give it some time. A friend of mine says when she owns dogs, she always makes sure they're X amount of years apart, just so they don't kick the bucket at the same fucking time. It makes it easier on the other dog, because then she can get another dog, which helps the dog that's grieving for the last one.
Oh.
But it helps her in the same way, is that she's not just completely without a dog at some point in time.
I thought about getting her, like, older cats and doing that kind of thing, but then I think you gotta spend more money on them medically.
You do.
Yeah.
And you're almost functioning as hospice for some of the cases.
Which, if you're going to that, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you know you're doing it, but you need some fucking disposable income.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. It's like, well,
Those vet bills are horrible.
Yeah.
And I remember they hit me up for pet insurance when Charlie was getting sick a lot, and it wasn't going to help very much. It was almost like that dental insurance. Like people give you, it's like it covers like some cleanings and stuff, but absolutely nothing for surgeries.
Yeah, because like my cat was doing his shit, I looked into it. It's like $1,000 for the surgery, maybe even more, maybe a little bit less, but somewhere in that region. It's like even the doctor was like, we could do this, and it's still a chance it could happen again. It's a blockage. We don't know what's.
Yeah, and your cat has to go through the whole surgery process, like being fucking handled by people that are not you, waking up from anesthesia, not knowing where the fuck it is, probably being restrained.
Yeah.
It's a traumatic experience.
Even though he was fucking real good at the vet, like he wasn't, like he let him do all their shit, the old thermometer up the shitter.
Yeah.
My doctor still does that for me. But I get scared and they have to hold me down.
Yeah. Only thing is, his thermometer is really big and really thick.
Lets me know when it's done because there's a cooling gel.
It's like my grandpa used to say, if it feels like more than 2 fingers, it's probably a dick.
It's fucking gross.
It's like some little dishwasher I work with. It's like once a week he'd just say something where you're just like, oh my god, like I like this guy.
Didn't you work with a dishwasher like sucking dicks like sucking a big thumb?
No, that was a pastry chef at Rose's when we worked there. Someone was talking about sucking dicks and how it's gross, and this guy just chimes in, it's not that bad. It's just like a big thumb.
And everybody proceeded to put their thumb in their mouth.
That guy, though, he was a fucking liar. Like, he would... Like, did you make a batch of such and such yesterday? Because we fucking ran out. And he would swear up and down how he fucking made it and stuff. And make a big dramatic scene out of, like, opening up all the coolers and looking for everything. And then, like, finally they had to just check him on something with security footage.
Just like you didn't believe him?
No.
It's like my fucking brother when he was, like, in middle school. And he's, like, searching for his report card knowing damn well he don't throw that away on the bus. It's like, where's your report? I know I had it, It was real good, just like talking it up, but it ain't there.
When I was in high school, I actually modified somebody's fucking report card.
Did they get caught?
I don't think so, because his dad would have beat the shit out of him, and he didn't look like he'd gotten the shit beat out of him.
That's that high risk, high reward. It's like, if I do this right, I'll be fine. But if he finds out and I tried to cheat it, it's gonna really beat my ass.
No, we scanned it, and I guess like whoever's house we were at, who had the computer and stuff, had some really thick printer paper, so it was like realistic.
Oh, like the nice paper, like
Yeah, and then we just changed. I can't even remember how we did it. Just made like one of the letters look like a different number, number look like a different letter, or something like that. But changed the F to like a B, I think.
You don't do an A, it's too suspicious.
No, he wouldn't have gotten a fucking A. He would have gotten fucking caught, even he didn't give a shit about school.
Oh, that's something I want to ask you, because, like, I think, understand this question when I ask it. How the fuck you deal with a pathological liar? Because you do that psychology shit.
Like, in what sense do you mean? Like, it's like a person you have to deal with on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Like...
Maybe someone you work with.
And you have to?
Yeah. Like, you know what they're saying is bullshit. They're just lying to lie.
I mean, honestly, if you want to get them to stop saying some of that shit to you, just don't respond. No response is a response.
I've done that a couple of times.
If you look at behavioral conditioning models, even if they get a bad response from you, any response can be taken as a response. And was it like any news is good news, even if it's bad, or any attention
is attention.
Any attention is good, even if it's bad attention. Like, some people just need to feed off of that. So if they're like saying all their shit and they just get absolutely nothing after that, not even something like an eye roll or a sigh or something like that, that might fuel them to keep going because they're trying to get something out of the situation. Give them absolutely nothing. They'll just go bother somebody else with that shit after a while.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, like, I worked with a dude who I thought was lying about a bunch of shit until he was able to pull up pictures.
Yeah.
Fucking named Wiley, really cool dude. He's like, yeah, I did this with sea turtles and I lived in Jerusalem. I was like, there's fucking no way. And he's like, oh, no, we did all this shit.
Yeah, it just sounds like fucking unreal.
Yeah. Because, like, I remember someone talking about they knew a pathological liar and they would go along with it just to see how fucking crazy they'd go with the story. It was a comedian or something. Just to see how far the stories would go.
Yeah.
It's like, how big was that big? Nah, that fish was like this, just bringing the same shit up over and over again.
Yeah, good podcast. I can bring pathological liars on, just see how big the story can get.
Ooh, but what's that show where you caught junkies? Intervention. It'd be like that, where you gotta fool them each time.
Yeah, you gotta set up a different scenario.
Because it's like the fucking, like the dad fishing story. The fish gets bigger every time. Because you want to be impressive.
Yeah. I met a couple people like that. It's like they just can't help it. Like, they just have to keep, like, adding all this shit.
That used cars salesman type of shit.
I don't know. It's not... I don't know if it's trying to get your acceptance or they're that, like, self-conscious. I actually don't know very much about, I don't know what it would even be classified under as far as, like, psychology is concerned. I can give you kind of an example of how things like that can work. Take like a obsessive compulsive disorder. Mm-hmm. So every time you complete an action, you get some dopamine from your brain. Just to be like, this job's done. Like, I want to move my arm over here, and it's done. You get a little bit of dopamine, and then that's like your reward for that. So with OCD, there could be a loop where you didn't receive that for finishing something. It could be somebody like washing their hands like 50 fucking times.
Yeah.
They don't feel like it's done.
Huh, that sounds fucking awful.
That's just a small little adjustment. So I guess, like, I don't know, if somebody's just like making up a bunch of stories like that or just exaggerating too much over and over and over again. Maybe they didn't feel like what they said the last time was enough.
That makes sense.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know very much about that. We didn't really cover that in abnormal psych.
What the fuck do you cover mostly in there?
We went over eating disorders. And, dude, I'm in recovery for drugs and alcohol. Yeah, people with eating disorders got it worse.
Yeah, because what was it? It's like...
At least I don't need alcohol to live.
Yeah, it was like you can quit cold turkey.
I can get away from that. But, like, if you have a problem with something that you actually need to, like, sustain yourself, that's even harder.
It's like saying you have to have a beer once a day. That would be real fucking annoying if you're trying to stay sober.
I'd probably offed myself. One is too many and 50's not enough.
Jesus.
You just can't. I can't fucking start that shit again. But yeah, I went on a date with a girl who used to have an eating disorder, and she said like her main trigger is having diet restrictions, and then she just goes down a rabbit hole with it. So she has to have absolutely no diet restrictions, and that's what's helped her with it. But it's different for everybody. But we went over eating disorders, we went over depression, anxiety, schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia is fucking. I'm gonna touch on. Well, it's fucking wild. What is like? So what is like the definition of schizophrenia? Because I don't know. Like I know the the
first
media.
The first I'd heard from like an actual professor like talking about it. He said it's like so if somebody's neurotic, it's almost like predictable, like what their behavior is gonna be.
Okay.
Like say if they have like PTSD or something like that, loud bangs like can really like set them off or make them nervous or jittery. It almost follows a line. Still, like, you can kind of see like, this happens and then all of this goes. He said it's almost like there's just breaks in that line. You don't always know what the fuck the person is gonna do next, say next, think next. We watched a video on some of them, and they were. A common thing was they felt like somebody was about to shoot them.
That sounds not fun.
The guy said that exactly. He's like, I feel like someone's about to fucking shoot me. They're like just sitting on a picnic table and at like a, like the rec area of like a mental institution. Another one is it's kind of a meme, but like using the tinfoil to block out the signals. Probably heard.
That's schizophrenia usually. Or like
that's I'd say that's also under paranoia. But this one, dude, you could probably Google this video where he had was it a TV tooth? It's like one of his fucking teeth was like
picking up radio signals.
Or he was picking up the radio signals.
They used some type of filling. It was like able to pick up radio signals.
I don't know if he had that type of filling, but he was he'd like wear like fucking tinfoil over his head, and felt like that like helped. It was that. It could have been the government, aliens. It's kind of different with different people, but no, and they just can't like. I think so antipsychotics are the drug that'll get prescribed for stuff like that and that messes with dopamine. That raises like what's available. I'm butchering some of this because it's been a while. I learned more about it in behavioral neuroscience. We're actually getting down to like physical symptoms. One hallmark is if you look at an MRI of the brain, the ventricles, where cerebral spinal fluid is made and then goes down the spine. Those are like those gaps that you'll see. Like if you see like brain slices that are done on that plane, the ventricles are enlarged, and that's like a hallmark of schizophrenia.
So a lot more spinal fluid. Well, I guess if is it enlarged and making more, or is it just enlarged?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I want to say my first professor said like they're not 100% on why, because the amount of enlargement varies between people and isn't necessarily, like you think like, oh, if it's bigger, they're more fucked up. Like that's not necessarily true. Some people who have mild symptoms might have like more enlargement of their ventricles than smaller. It's pretty complicated, but a lot of it's to do with how much dopamine they have in their system. So antipsychotics raise the available level of dopamine, but it causes a shitload of side effects, and that's like most psychiatric meds. The side effects are why people will just quit taking them after a little while. Yeah, and then if they tend to get like violent and crazy and shit, they get what's called a chemical straitjacket, which is called Thorazine.
I don't like the way that sounds.
No, like some motherfucker ends up like getting picked up by the police, goes to the hospital, and he's like flipping the fuck out, and everybody's like scared, and he's like throwing shit, and they need to like restrain him. Thorazine's what that motherfucker's getting.
That's what's in the syringe they stick in your ass?
Yeah. Yeah, Thorazine just takes them the fuck out, but
yeah, it turns out fucking messing with brain chemistry is complicated and can fuck shit up.
Yeah, that's the problem with keeping people going and taking their meds and stuff like that, is they're not satisfied with that. They want to take something that just fixes it, but it's like that's way more complicated than anything else like we've got in the body. Because let's say like you're taking an SSRI, sustained serotonin reuptake inhibitor, like Prozac. So when the neuron hits the synapse, it well, I just have a crude way of remembering this is the neuron comes down and blows its load into the synaptic gap. It doesn't actually make contact with the synapse. There's a tiny little area of space between them called the synaptic gap. It dumps its neurotransmitter load into that, and that synapse has receptors for all of those. Then reuptake happens, which is the one that's transmitting the message will pull up what's left in the gap of some of the neurotransmitters, just so it doesn't have to make more later. Right. What serotonin does is it puts a hold on the reuptake. So there's more serotonin available in the synaptic gap to go in more receptors. Now, where all your side effects come from is there are a lot of types of serotonin receptors. So that's just sort of a blanket approach. There's a new antidepressant. I'm actually on it. Works a lot faster, but it targets specific serotonin receptors. There's a lot less side effects. But you'll get such variation across people because it doesn't just matter that there's more serotonin going into more types of receptors. Everybody's receptor densities are different. So in certain areas of the brain, they might have more serotonin receptors than some other areas of the brain, or they might have a higher density of this specific type of serotonin receptor type in this part of the brain versus the others, and it can just cause for a really wide variance. Like anything from like, I don't know, feeling disoriented or like you're floating or your ding dong don't work.